Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I am Gene, and today I will be talking and occasionally ranting about Elon Musk. And well, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, though the rant is not about Donald Trump, we're just going to focus on Elon Musk today. And well, who knows what I'll have to say about Donald Trump tomorrow. Anyways, we're talking about Elon Musk and the big, beautiful bill, which you surely have heard by now, by the time you're watching this, just passed the Senate. So, well, it passed by the skin of its teeth, 50-50 among the senators, and then J.D. Vance, vice president, had to break the vote. And it only passed because of J.D. Vance, but also because of Lisa Murkowski, because, well, she got some money for Alaska. And a little aside, one of my, I guess this will be a little mini rant, one of my most fervent hopes is that the Senate will gain enough, in the midterms, will gain at least 2 more seats so that Lisa Murkowski's and Susan Collins's votes would no longer necessarily be needed to pass legislation that conservatives want. And I would also, well, if we could have 3 new senators, so Rand Paul doesn't matter anymore, I wouldn't complain, because he's not a moderate or a liberal. He's which occasionally is even worse, is he's a libertarian, if you didn't know. I mean, nominally a Republican, but he's really a libertarian. But I don't want to get off on the subject of libertarianism today. What I want to talk about is the big, beautiful bill and Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not very happy with the bill, and here's what he wrote on his on X. This would be just before the bill was passed. If this insane spending bill passes, that would be the big, beautiful bill, the America Party will be formed the next day, presumably by Elon Musk. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so that the people actually have a voice, all caps. So that's what he wrote. And as I say in the title to today's vlog, you're a little bit naive there, Mr. Musk. I mean, you have no peer, certainly no one better than you as a businessman and a visionary. But about politics, you have a little bit to learn. And what you have to learn is, well, this idea of forming a party, it would be, presumably he wants to start, he's got the money to do it, to start another political party, the America Party, he wants to call it. And he talks about the uniparty, and he has a point on many issues. The uniparty, where the Republicans, especially, well, in the Senate, Republicans and the Democrats and all personal friends and buddy, and they believe too much for me, in my opinion, on compromise. They all want to get along, and they vote kind of the same way. But this is something I could have said before. Now maybe it's not true anymore, but the idea that Republicans always say they want to cut spending, and then they end up not doing it when they get control of the Senate and the House. And there is a point there, but I mean, in the House, you just need a majority vote. The problem that you have in the Senate is, unless we're talking about reconciliation bills, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the filibuster, you need 60 votes to pass something. So and this never happened in my lifetime, where the Republicans had 60 votes, and you would actually probably need 62 because of Murkowski and Collins, for the Republicans to be able to cut spending, because the Democrats will filibuster it. But I'm having second thoughts now, because we now have this reconciliation bill where a filibuster cannot be used. So you just need 51 votes, and you see how much trouble it was. John Thune, the leader of the Senate, had, majority leader in the Senate, had getting this thing passed in the Senate, even though it couldn't be filibustered, and it was because Republicans weren't cutting spending. So Musk has a point there, but where he misses the point is that senators, they're not in there just voting their own personal wishes. They represent people. They represent their state. So if they don't want to, well, we're seeing it with the Medicaid, and that these Republican senators are finding out their state, the people of their state, don't want the Medicaid cut or the rate of increase slowed. They are only doing what they're he talks about. Musk says the people need a voice. They have a voice. They have a voice. They can write their senators every time. Their senators are not going to go against their constituents, or they won't be reelected, assuming they want. And you have Tom Tillis, who just announced he voted, one of the senators who voted against the bill, and he announced that he would not be running for re-election. So for him, it doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants. He can just ignore what the people of his state want because he's not running again. But the reason he's not running again is because Trump was threatening to support somebody to primary him. But why would Tillis be worried about a primary challenge if he has the support of his state? If he has high approval ratings and people will approve of what he's doing, then it's an empty threat. I mean, if Trump said he's going to find somebody to primary, I don't know, Ocasio-Cortez, how would that work out? Not so well. It's only when you have a vulnerable senator will this work. And the problem I have with Musk is that he thinks he's going to form this party and that he's going to get all these people to sign up to join this party to get rid of the so-called uniparty and get the spending cuts that Musk, wants. The problem is that, as I just said, these senators are representing their state. So if he goes into, let's say, Texas or some state, a red state, goes into any red state and wants to start this party, then what's going to happen? Because the majority of those people are supporting what their senator is doing, or their senator wouldn't be doing it. And you have to remember what I guess he forgot, a lot of people probably forgot, and about the Tea Party. The Tea Party was a political party, and they nominated several candidates in several states, right, on the same reasoning as we're getting from Musk, and almost all of them lost. Ron Johnson is the only one. Wisconsin is the only senator I can think who ran as a Tea Partier, more or less. But I think, could have been an out-and-out Tea Partier. He's still in the Senate. He won, but there were these other candidates who just lost. They were so extreme that. Or so outside of the mainstream, because again, all of these people are just, these senators are doing what their state wants them to do. That's why they're in office. And if they didn't do what they would, they want the Mike Lawler on Long Island. He's one of the people that wants the cap, lifted to 40%, the SALT deduction. Lifted to, well, he had $40,000. He actually wanted it much higher than that. That was a compromise from the $10,000. And by the way, that expires in 5 years. So, and then it goes back to 10,000. So I don't know what these people are, why everybody's complaining so much. In a few years, it'll be gone. But if you really have a problem with that, if you're willing to sacrifice this whole bill, 68% tax increase on the country because of that one issue, my advice is simply what I said about what I just said about the Senate. Work to elect more representatives so that this handful, I think there's only 5 that want this SALT thing, SALT deduction raise, the cap raise, just vote in enough representatives so that their votes would not be needed. And then you can make the SALT deduction 0 and get, as Democratic senator, president, well, he was a senator too, but President Kennedy, JFK, said famously, don't get mad, get even. And that's what I would do. Don't get mad, give Lawler what he wants, and then look for a chance to get even later. That's what I would do. And politically, I mean, get even politically, okay. All right, that's what I mean. I don't personally believe in revenge, physical revenge. So that's that takes care of that issue. Now getting back to Musk, if he forms this party, he's going to have some people that will maybe join. But what you'll be doing is taking votes away from Republicans, and the Republicans have a very, very small majority in the House and the Senate. And then if the Democrats get control of just one House, can you imagine, let alone the presidency in 2028 election? Well, there goes your, I mean, if the whole goal, if the whole idea is to get more spending cuts, well, who do you want in charge of getting spending cuts? The Republicans or the Democrats? It's that simple. So he's shooting himself in the foot if he goes forward with this America Party. And yeah, I mean, it will hurt more than it will help, because, as I said, he'll split. That's what I want the Democrats to do. You have this really great division between the far left, the Mamdani, I guess now, New York, the socialists, and the moderate. And I don't think there are any conservative Democrats anymore, at least in the House and Senate. I could be wrong, but they should split into two parties, and I would love that. I mean, ideologically, they should, because they're having. I think it's going to be impossible to reconcile the two wings, those two wings of the party. They're so far apart. But obviously, it helps Republicans to have the Democrats and become much smaller, and adding another small party, then it makes them hard for them to win elections. But finally, I'll end on this, and they're already talking about it in the Senate, and I believe the House. This reconciliation bill is not necessarily the only bill. In fact, I'm sure it's not. There'll be another reconciliation bill that bill could focus entirely on spending. The main thing is not to let the Bush and Trump the Trump tax cuts expire. Not to let them expire. It's a 4 or 5 trillion tax increase, 68% tax increase on the American people. And I don't know why some of these senators, such as Rand Paul, can't understand. Get that tax threat out of the way, and then work on spending. And I don't know. As I said, I can't figure out libertarians, and I can't figure out that, as conservative as I am, I can't figure out the Freedom Caucus either in the House. They're expecting this big, beautiful bill to massively increase the deficit, but my understanding is they're going by the CBO figures, which are always wrong. And I guess I'll really end on this, is if somebody has suggested the CBO, they do whatever they do, and then they just promulgate these reports of what the effects of various policies are, tax and spending policies, and they never show their work, is what I'm saying. They should be required to show their work. They should, just like the Fed does, at least have the chairman raise his hand, take an oath, and under oath answer all the questions about their methodology. How are you reaching these figures? Show us work, and bring paper and pass it out. Let us see how you work. But I would have them, as they're deliberating, as somebody suggested, for the Fed. I would like this for the Fed too. Have cameras in the room, record the discussions, and put all the paperwork, all the calculations, in the case of the CBO, on the internet, so other economists can look at it and people can make an informed decision. Because I think this Freedom Caucus are going by the CBO figures, and the CBO is always wrong, and they're always wrong in the same direction. They always overestimate revenue losses. They were off by trillions from about the Trump tax cuts. They thought they were calculating how much it would cost, and actually tax receipts went up after that because of the increased economic activity. But they don't have to show but they're always wrong in that one direction. They always overestimate the cost of tax cuts, and they underestimate the revenues, the expected revenues from tax increases. They are always wrong. So why anybody would trust those figures, I don't know. And that's the problem I have with the other thing they should do is fire this parliamentarian. She's not an elected official, and she's rejecting things that are they're clearly revenue related. So that too is wrong, and I don't know why she still has a job. She was appointed by Harry Reid, who was a Democrat. He was a Democrat leader of the Senate and very, very liberal, and he appointed her, and she just strikes down. What happens if something is ruled out? It's called the Byrd rule, and if something is ruled, if she rules against something, that means it cannot be in a reconciliation bill that can be passed with only 51 votes, but has to be regular order that require that if the Democrats filibuster requires 60 votes, which is what happened today, actually, the day I'm recording this. There was a bill, or one of the parts of the big, beautiful bill was that Medicaid should not cover people who are not legally entitled to receive it, who are not legally entitled, who are, working age males who have no children. They should be required to work 20 weeks, which is 20 hours a week, which is 10 hours a week less than the bill that Bill Clinton signed working with Newt Gingrich. That required 30 able-bodied males to work 30 hours a week or be in school 30 hours a week, college, in order to receive benefits. And that failed. She disqualified that, even though it's clearly revenue related. This Elizabeth McDonough, she disqualified that, so it had to be put forth on the floor as regular legislation, and it lost. I think 54 to something. It did not get the 60 votes. So my advice is to fire her and put someone else in there. What's wrong with the Republican appointing someone? So that's it for today, for sure. Thanks for stopping by. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Subscribe. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.